Hello, and welcome to the UTHealth San Antonio Community Support Webinar. Today's topic is Leadership in Uncertain Times. My name is Michelle Mata, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Today's presenter is Heather Kobbe. Heather is the Senior Director of Talent Management in the Office of Human Resources at UTHealth San Antonio. At the end of this webinar, individuals will be able to identify how a leader can support a team during uncertain times, employ tangible steps to support work-from-home teams, and recognize the importance of modeling self-care. Now, let's begin with Heather.
Thank you, Michelle. During times of crisis and challenge, leaders are often called to adapt quickly, work longer, and provide emotional support while they are experiencing the same feelings of anxiety, uncertainty, and overwhelm. Being a leader means that you are someone else's role model. Your colleagues, staff, and others are looking to you to see how you behave and feel. That is why it's important to be thoughtful and intentional about how you lead during uncertain times and also how you care for yourself when more is being asked of you. Anxiety and stress in the face of tremendous change is natural. Our brains are wired for it. The same brain that helps plan for future through strategy is the brain that can be kicked into place of anxiety and worry about the future and stress due to the real and immediate changes we are facing. Our brain has evolved to problem solve and project what might happen in the future. On a team, feelings are contagious. Think about a team that you've been a part of where one vocal person started talking negatively and how quickly that impacted the team's motivation and productivity. You as a leader have a role in setting the tone. Best type of leadership in uncertain times employs compassionate management, which is when you seek to understand how you can be of service and benefit to employees while balancing the need to keep them on task. So what are some practical ways in doing that? Take care of yourself first. Start by understanding what you're feeling. Be intentional about your leadership values. Manage your stress and anxiety. Emotional intelligence requires self-knowledge and self-reflection. During times of stress, this is even more important since your team is looking to you to know if it's time to panic, get distracted, or stay focused. You will need to understand what you're feeling and manage how you message it. Openly panicking or being negative will negatively impact the team. This is the time for intentionality. What values do you want to emphasize to your team? How can you model it? As a leader, you are always on stage. Someone is always paying attention to how you present yourself. If the captain of the ship is still in control and appears to be stable, then the team can focus and be productive. Later in this presentation, we will talk about specific ways you can practice self-care. It is okay to be honest and transparent that times are uncertain. Honesty allows your team to be honest about their feelings and to communicate the worries that may be on their mind. The key here is to limit the amount of time you stay in uncertainty. Make decisions when appropriate, answer the questions that you can, and research the answers you do not know. Bring clarity from the previous step. What is it you want the team to focus on? With context, when focus may quickly change. For example, you might decide that flexibility is most vital now. Communicate your ideas and expectations about how we will work with each other to be flexible, and that flexibility requires communication for any sudden handoffs. Encourage self-compassion. Often, especially in healthcare, being invulnerable is highly valued. Accepting the very human quality of being anxious or stressed in the face of so much change can help people move through it rather than repress it. Some ways you can do this with your team. Check in with them about how they're handling changes regularly. Talk about their pressures in and out of work. Remind team members that everyone handles stress and change differently. Remind them not to compare themselves to others. Stress as a reaction is a normal psychological response to feeling out of control or threatened. Share your stories of feeling anxious, stressed, so that they know that they're not alone. If you want to encourage vulnerability and sharing, as a leader, you go first. Share first, and they will be more likely to be comfortable with sharing themselves. Ask people what they need. One-on-one check-ins with each person on your team are important. This allows people to truly open up. Everyone will have different needs, and some may have personal issues. We are whole people, and if you can understand their pressures and concerns, you can better support them. Given the nature of these changes, they may be struggling with sick family members, childcare issues, food insecurity, family tension, and other external stressors. Show empathy and share resources. We have a lot of resources on the COVID-19 website. Also, if they are struggling with their mental well-being, we have a telehealth options for engaging with UTHSA and a 24-hour crisis hotline. Focus on what you do control. As a leader in uncertain times, you do have some control of the environment for your team. Intentionally build culture by having small rituals, such as morning coffee check-ins with a virtual high five, or other creative approaches. Small rituals are shown to reduce stress and increase productivity. Be creative with it. Even if a morning text with an inspirational quote or a funny meme or anything else that you find appropriate for your team. Rituals can help us feel connected. Also, incremental progress towards goals. Remind your team that every step towards a bigger goal is moving forward, and it is worth noting and celebrating. One way that you can help team members feel more in control is to have them make choices about their work schedule when it's appropriate. Some work schedules have set hour expectations, but others may be more flexible, especially if they are working from home, in order to flex to the change in their own lives. As a leader, it can be a good time to test out an outcome-based approach to productivity. Agree on deadlines rather than focusing on the exact time spent on the work products. Not everyone or every job is able to accomplish this. However, it is worth considering how to be creative in this area. Finally, this is also time to reconnect the team with the team values, reminding them that even if choices are taken away, you decide who you want to be. The next and last tip from compassionate management is going to be the hardest for all of us leaders. As a leader, you set the tone for your team. If you tell them to practice self-care and they can see that you work every weekend or until midnight regularly, you will lose credibility. It is important we practice what we preach. Encourage that they take their phones with them for a walking meeting if possible. Look at their timestamps and encourage them to put down their devices, whether it be for dinner, family time, or their own personal time. Make self-care a priority, especially in uncertain situations that may go on for an indeterminate amount of time. Keeping stress low or managed is the key to staying healthy. All right, now we're going to start talking about balancing the pressures of working from home while also managing self-care. First, be sure to maintain regular hours. Balancing the flexibility with a set schedule will help you maintain some work-life balance. It's a good idea to create a morning routine. What in your morning indicates you are starting your work that day? Your first cup of coffee? Coming back from a jog? A routine can be much better to wake up to than an alarm clock. Third, it's important to set ground rules with the people who are in your space. This is especially important now that the whole family is likely to be at home. Help your loved ones understand what is off limits and what is allowed so you can have the mental and physical space needed. Number 4, try to take a lunch break. We all need downtime, and putting away work for a period of time will allow you and your mind to be refreshed. Number 5, It's important to leave your home. Even with social distancing, you can still sit outside, go on a walk your dog, and garden. Having a small change of scenery will help rejuvenate your body, which needs movement, sun, and fresh air. Number 6, show your face in virtual meetings. We have moved to a virtual meetings, but it doesn't have to be impersonal. Showing yourself on camera can do 2 things. 1, it makes the connection more personal, and 2, encourage you to put yourself together for the day. Number 7, take sick days. If you're sick, take the day off and heal. It's better to get the rest you need when you need it. Number 8, over-communicate. Working from home can really shut down communication. Set up regular check-ins with your team, your direct reports, colleagues, and supervisors to articulate changing needs. Be sure to stay connected. Number 9, stay positive. Since we have more technology-driven communication, it is possible for tone to be misinterpreted. Take the extra time to be friendly and positive in communications. Additionally, consider ways to stay in connection with your team. Virtual lunches, walking meetings, phone calls, etc. Number 10, don't be too hard on yourself. Most successful work from home employees are very disciplined, but there are times we need a break. At work, we might walk around and talk to our coworkers. At home, it might mean you stand, stretch, call a colleague, or listen to part of a podcast. With that pause, you can more easily refocus and get back to work. Number 11, end your day with a routine. Having an end-of-the-day routine sets a bookend around the workday. Sometimes there are longer days, and you need to stay connected with work. But it can be very important to know when your day is done so that you can switch gears to personal time. So remember to sleep well. Put away your devices, pick a good time to get rest, and wake up and open the blinds for natural light. Sleeping well also boosts your immunity. Eat good food. Eat as fresh as you can and try new recipes. Exercise. Our bodies need movement. Go for a walk, pick a soccer ball, do 20 minutes on your elliptical while watching your favorite show. Practice mindfulness. Being in the present moment, doing yoga, 5 to 10 minutes of meditation using a free meditation app, and we will explain that more on our resource page. Show gratitude. Being appreciative of what you do in the midst of uncertain times is one way to stay positive. You can keep a gratitude journal or practice gratitude with your friends, family, and your colleagues. With a simple question, what are you thankful for? Say no. We are all very good at saying yes and putting our needs second. Practice saying no kindly. Saying no makes time for you. Clean and organize your space. Having a clean space for yourself and your office can help keep your mind calm. Also, we have a lot of time around the house given our current situation. Read a book or watch a movie. Take a quiet moment for yourself to read a book or watch a movie, perhaps a movie you've been meaning to watch for a long time and haven't. Make an appointment for self-care. Set time aside for self-care and guard it. Do something nice for someone else. We can still give to others as part of self-care. Call a family member that might be lonely. Check in by text with your neighbors. Doodle, color, craft, be creative. Pull out those markers, crayons, and draw. Creativity unlocks a different part of our brains. Let go of any judgment. If it's really funny, hang it up and laugh at yourself. And remember to go outside. Fresh air is important. How do we do self-care in real-world application? We all know that theory can be challenging to translate into reality, especially when change happens so quickly. Upon reflection, it's important to emphasize a few things. Over-communication is vital. I know we spoke about over-communication previously, but this, from my perspective, is the make or break activity during a dynamic time that has required so many different work locations for your team. Communicating up, down, and sideways on all different modalities, such as Teams, your cell phone, text, email, is all important. Productivity is a part of the equation. We have talked a lot about flexible work arrangements, but we all know that UT Health San Antonio has many jobs that lend itself to greater flexibility than others do, and what work needs to be done to be successful and how that work is measured. We recognize that our patient care work requires in-person effort. We believe that flexibility in these cases may come from engaging the staff in performance improvement and staff morale improvement activities. Moments of high intensity, but not for forever. Self-care is always going to be an easy goal. During times of high intensity, such as now when we're reacting to the pandemic, self-care may need to go out the window. But acknowledging that you need it and you need to find time for it, even for just a moment of recharge, is the goal. Additionally, you and your staff should not be in high intensity mode forever, as this would not be sustainable and would lead to burnout. Leader, it starts with you. When I was asked to deliver this presentation and read through the content, I laughed and thought, self-care? When is there time? After reading the material and seeing the connection between how I treat myself and how my staff will take my self-care and translate that to their own, I get it. It starts with me. I need to role model it, and if I burn out, it creates a domino effect for my team. I'm a believer. Self-care is good for productivity and outcomes, regardless of one's role. Thank you to all of you who listened to today's webinar. I want to end by saying, please don't forget to take care of yourself as well as your team. If you need additional support, please don't hesitate to reach out to your own leadership to ask questions, seek clarity, and continue to lead through this uncertain time. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you for making lives better.
Thank you, Heather, for presenting today's webinar on leadership in uncertain times. Also, thank you to each of you who viewed this webinar. We hope you found this information helpful. This concludes today's webinar. Thank you and stay safe.